We have a stupendous panel discussion on relevance of new materials in contemporary architecture. It is not just the structural importance and constructional behavior, but also the visual impact along with the historical value of certain materials that form the essence of the built environment. It forms an integral part of the field of architecture. Building material signifies structural existence. It demonstrates the presence of aesthetic sense in a design and hence defines the practicality of the structure. Let us hear it from our eminent panelists. It is my privilege to call upon the moderator, J.P. Agrawal ji of Agrawal and Agrawal Associates. Architect J.P. Agrawal started his professional practice in 1988 under the banner Agrawal and Agrawal. Several projects designed by the firm are widely considered as the landmarks of Kolkata. In the last 35 years, the firm completed more than 800 projects across 12 states of India. The practice is largely committed to the environment and user-friendly design approach. In this endeavor, the firm has designed various platinum-rated and gold-rated green buildings. The firm is awarded Green Champions Award for designing the highest green floor space in the country by Indian Green Building Council. JP was honored with Better City, Better Life Award for his contribution in the field of green architecture for Kolkata city. Please, a big round of applause for JP Agrawal ji, already on stage. Okay, can we have some silence at the back, please? Thank you. Okay, calling upon Vivek Singh Rathore of Salient Design Studio. Vivek Singh Rathore is design principal of Salient, a multidisciplinary design studio operating from Kolkata, has a vision to evolve the new age value system in Indian design environment. He passed from IIT Roorkee with a gold medal in the year 2000 and established the studio in 2005. A big round of applause for Vivek Singh Rathore. Okay, can we have some silence at the back again, please? A humble request. Calling upon Mr. Rohit Bhoite of Rohit Bhoite Design. Rohit Bhoite is an internationally renowned architect with a passion for high-end finishes. After finishing his diploma in interior design from Rachna Sansad, Mumbai in 2009, he went on to pursue his master's degree in interior and living design from Domus Academy in Milan, Italy. After learning the finer details of architecture and gathering design experience in Milan, he started his own studio in 2014 and has undertaken numerous national and international projects in the space of interior architecture and design. Rohit Bhoite Design has featured in major architectural magazines and recently had his design as a cover on Elle Decor India, a renowned nationwide design magazine. A big round of applause for Rohit Bhoite. We have Shakuntala Ghosh of Ghosh, Bose and Associates. Shakuntala Ghosh is a partner of Ghosh, Bose and Associates GBA. She was the winner of the prestigious National Award for Excellence in Architecture conferred by the Indian Institute of Architects in 2007 and has won the USGBC Gold Award in 2008 and the IGBC Gold Award in 2010 for leadership in energy and environmental design. She was a nominee for the International Aga Khan Award for Architecture in 2010. Environmentally sustainable architecture is a major focus of Ms. Ghosh's work and she has been actively involved with the green building movement since its inception. She is a member of the National Executive Committee of the Indian Green Building Council, chairperson of Kolkata chapter of IGBC and IGBC accredited professional, and chairperson of the Indian Green Building Council Kolkata chapter. Welcome, Shakuntala ji. A big round of applause for her, please. And we have Rupande Shah of Rupande Shah and Associates. Rupande Shah of Rupande Shah and Associates has been, the firm was founded 20 years ago by her. Work designed and executed by them have been featured in many prestigious magazines. Strongest and most renowned on the home front, she attributes her acceptance of choice by being the right person for the right clients at the right place. Welcome Ms. Rupande Shah. A big round of applause for her, please. We are extremely excited and await the panel discussion to be carried on by JP Agrawal ji. Thank you.
This is a very interesting topic for me to deliberate on the materials, the new building materials. I remember when I started my practice almost 35 years back, at that time, we had a very limited choice of materials. For an example, if at all we had to think about the exterior cladding, then it will stop at Dholpur stone and probably one or two other ceramic mosaic tiles. Today, sky is the limit. Lot of materials have been invented, or others, I would say, there has been, I don't know what is the, I would not say exactly the word invention, but somehow they are manufactured. These materials have opened up different opportunities of creativity for the architects. And to have a knowledge of these materials, to understand these materials, to understand the vocabulary of the materials, to understand the nerve system of the materials is extremely important for the architect. In this particular aspect, I'd like to have a view of my eminent panelist. Let me start with Vivek. I would like to know from Vivek how relevant knowledge of new material is while we design, while we think of design.
Namaskar. See, the relevance of knowing a new material to me is the job, one of the principal job that an architect should know. Because knowing material, whether it's a new or to be used newly, sometimes it's not obviously that you should know the new material is in market, but even a material which can be newly used, that is also very important. So I think it is like this, that if you have to do an art, you're always looking for an inspiration. And if you have an inspiration, then you're looking for a medium. So both inspiration and the medium become important in creativity. So I think material is that important that, while we do have inspiration, but the expression can come from both material as well as inspiration. So material is very important to actually articulate a different innovative expression. That's important. And the very other important part is, for any meaningful creation, meaningful or a sensible creation, knowing about the material is knowing about design attributes. If you know the game, you'll be able to play the game. So it's about knowing the game. So I think that we as an architect, we are quite deprived of this sincerity towards knowing this material. We should sincerely know the material, know the game, and only when we know it well, we'll be able to play it well. Sorry.
Would you design a building continuing with on the same thing?
Ji.
Do you think that sometimes you think of a building design itself, a concept itself, keeping a certain material in mind? Or you think of a building materials right at that stage?
See, how do we approach? Material comes from the contextuality. So I think the first way of looking at is there's an inspiration on the design, the thought process, but material essentially comes from contextuality. If I can actually gather the contextuality, we'll be able to do it. If there's a relevance in a function, we'll be able to do it. So to me, material choice happens either by contextuality or by demand of a function.
Great. Thank you. My next question is to Rohit. Rohit, do you think that new materials invented in last few years has transformed your design process, your thinking?
Yes, definitely. A lot of new products which have come in the market has changed the way we used to design, from detailings, from furniture to it could be for the interior civil finishes. Because these materials have changed the process of how we can do the same work which used to take months and months, now gets done faster. But also the bigger problem is when we're using these materials do give us guarantee or warranty for 15, 20 years, correct? But these materials has not come in existence since that much time. So how do you really depend on these materials when it comes, are they that reliable or no? So it's like a two side of the coin, that they are there. You're excited. Oh wow, this is a new treatment. But how do you rely on them? One. Part two of this conversation also means that the new materials are only available to us because of the social presence or what the marketing game they have played for that material to come on your desk. But if it's an international project, sorry, if it's an international product, has it seen the Indian market for 5 years or 6 years or 10 years? So what we've seen is we try to experiment, but we fear that let the product be there in the market for a longer time for us to then test it. Because most of the project which we do would want us to last, like what we would want us, that the project lasts for 15, 20 years, correct? When it comes to the interiors part. So at least we give the product is existent in the market for at least 5 to 10 years. If it's been successful, then is when we tend to use it.
Okay, great. The next question is to Rupande. I tell you one of my experience. A vendor came to me from Mumbai with the aluminum windows product. And he told me that, sir, this product is 10,000 rupees. What, 10,000 rupees square meter or square feet? So he said 10,000 rupees a square feet. So the window, aluminum section window, simple, costing 10,000 rupees a square feet. Then I asked that why so expensive is this material? So he said that, oh, ये तो सचिन तेंदुलकर साहब के घर में भी लगा है. So the lot of material has come, friends, but the question is about the cost. There's a big question is about the cost. We have got people who can afford to spend, but at the other side, we are the designers who have to think 10 times before spending that money. So my question to Rupande, who is designing the posh interiors, you are laughing, at the cost of say 15,000 rupees a square feet, right? So, it doesn't matter. People have money, we spend the money, that does not matter so much. It does matter, not matter may always. But the question still remains in our mind as an architect, that are we able to give a justice to spending such kind of a money? Are we able to produce the design aspect, or are we able to get the results only by spending this money? Can we not get otherwise? My question to you is the same.
So I knew you were going to ask me a trick question. So there is a very fine line between trying to overspend and trying to spend sensibly. So I would say, think about, say, 15 years ago. Did we ever have double glazed windows? Probably no. Okay, very few projects were being used with double glazed windows. Today, I think most projects are talking about using double glazed windows, which are probably 5 times more expensive than single glazed windows. Now, why are they doing it? Because of various reasons. We are saving heat, we are curtailing sound pollution, things of that sort. So certain products, even though they may be expensive, I think they are worth it if you balance it off in the right way. I mean, you cannot achieve the same effect that you would want to by using a single glazed window as compared to a double glazed windows. Why double glazed windows? Now people are talking about double glazed laminated windows, okay, which is also a very practical stuff, because I've had that happen to a couple of projects. In fact, my own home, even though my windows were double glazed, it did shatter, but it did not break because the glass was laminated. And I have a dog and he was right there when this happened. But because I took the initiative of spending that little extra money to make sure that it was a safety factor that I'm not overlooking, I think it was worth the price. So it's a balance that you have to take between aesthetics, price factor, actual practicality of using that product and how much you want to pay for it. And I think some products are really worth it. Like another thing, they have come up, certain plumbing products have come up with something called powder rain, which uses less water, but they're more expensive. So as an architect, as a responsible designer, I would still recommend that product because it uses less water and gives you the same feel. So for me, it's a very fine balance between the two.
So you are trying to say that you'll spend for functionality. You'll spend for the functionality, the functional aspect.
Yes.
Of it,
Functionality, aesthetics also, everywhere. So it should justify the cost. You want to spend as much as you can, it justifies it.
Great, so nice. Coming to ecological aspects of the building materials which we have, I again like to narrate my experience when we designed the Technopolis building. This is almost about 17, 18 years back. At that time, I was first time exposed to a rating system, the green rating system. And in the green rating system, you have to keep a log of all the building materials. And there are various aspects of the building materials which needs to be considered. One of the aspects was even the transportation, that the material is coming how far from a building site. How toxic is the material? Then how much of total percentage of the building material we are using is a recycled material? And how much can be recycled in tomorrow when the same is to be disposed of? So these are the various vital aspects which are there for the choice of material, any building material. Unfortunately, I see nowadays that it is, more as become a hypocrisy than the things, being done by heart. While we talk about the green, it has become more of a fashion to talk about the green than practice it in a genuine manner. I'm telling you with real pain in my heart, but this is what I see. My question to Shakuntala is that for architects, how important it is to be honest in this particular aspect?
Hello. Yeah. So, JP, you have highlighted a very important aspect. I will just, what I'm thinking about this topic, let's just get a historical background a little bit. And it's that architecture, as we know, is a product of its time, the technology and social milieu of the time. So as hunter-gatherers, we started out with barks and tree twigs and leaves and all of that. Then as we came into the Bronze Age, Stone Age, we made tools and we worked with stone and wood. And bricks, fire, we could fire the bricks. And then, of course, in the Industrial Revolution, when steel was invented, that is what allowed the skyscrapers and the reinforced concrete, the huge spans. So the material and the architecture is linked inextricably. So if now the state we are in of dire climate stress and all of that, our architecture also needs to respond to that. And I don't think there's a place for this hypocrisy. Hypocrisy may be there at all time, but more and more, there'll be just no other way to go forward, because our goal is a clear target in front of us, is that our built environment has to be net zero energy, net zero waste, and net zero water. Now, if these is to be happen, what needs to happen is a kind of a circular loop, in the sense that all the waste that is going out, these new construction materials, they may be using these to make so many different products. So when we choose, you're saying it is hypocrisy, but in India, it is true there are less rating systems, but abroad there are third-party rating systems. For example, if you choose any building product, say from the Green Pro range or from the Griha range, they have gone through this life cycle cost analysis, how the products are being made. Because every time you make a material, it is taking out from the earth and dumping some waste out. So there are people who are looking at it, and we need to get involved in that process as well. So now you have, like even in interiors, you would have used like from PET bottles, from plastic bottles, beautiful acoustic panels. So that's a win-win. You're taking a waste, you're making something useful, something to use. So I don't see how hypocrisy is there. If the intent is good, then the double glazing which a previous speaker talked about. So when we are achieving platinum or net zero status, I will look first at the characteristics of that glass, the U value of the glass, the VLT of the glass, and from there I will make the choice. It's not that like, I like this color, I'm going to do with it no matter what. Because there is a science, there is nothing, this is how it's going to affect the heat gain. So it's therefore every aspect, and we in our office, we give 1 or 2 days a week just to meet vendors and understand the products which are coming up. Because like you said, we are very conservative, we are a 60-year-old company, and we wait till it's tried and tested before specifying. But one has to keep at it, because it's too important to not consider this vital aspect. Thank you.
Yes, Shakuntala, you are right. But my question again to you as an architect is that first we put a curtain wall glazing on a west side, and then we do it double glaze, and we use the smart glass to beat the heat.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So the first step will always be the design. First step is the design. That has to be right. You cannot ignore that. That has to be first, and after that, so once you have reduced by passive means, then you will come in and use these materials. It cannot be, I will not do this and I will do that. That is always first. But you cannot go net zero just by doing that. And net zero is where we have to go. Ultimately, now they are looking at glazing which is clear and can generate renewable energy. So these are the things which are very exciting. So far we haven't done it because we have found, like you said, it's not, the bang for the buck is not there. But things are changing. It will happen. And I think we need to embrace that and avoid the hypocrisy and get to the real fact of the matter, and the good things are there to take. You don't have to take, what thing is there, people tick off boxes and points, but that's not the intent. That is like religion mein I'm doing the pujas, but I'm not spiritual at heart. So all kinds of people are there, right? But the aim has to be there.
Good, well answered. Lot of building materials, new materials have come. Technology has helped us in environment, saving the environment. For an example of plywood. The plywood is a wonderful material which has been produced from a wood which can be grown faster, and we are able to save the lot of cutting of trees which would have otherwise might have happened, or would have been a big question that how we would have handled the new pattern of interiors. We cannot think of an interior without a plywood. But still we think that we are yet to find a right replacement of wood. We are yet to find a right ecological solution to replace the wood. Similarly, I think we are lacking we feel somewhere that the solution to this particular material is yet to come. I'd like to know from Vivek that when we seek solutions which are eco-friendly solutions, how you think that new technology should help in future? What is your wish list on that?
This is very relevant. And 48% of construction waste अपने building waste से निकलता है. 48. That's an average. and only 3% is been used till now in making new materials. The potential is more than half right now, before we have done experiment. That means जो कचरा हमारे घर से निकल रहा है उसका 2-3% ही हम दोबारा यूज कर पा रहे हैं. हमारे पास में पोटेंशियल आज है 50% यूज करने का. And this, if we get smarter, we will see a lot of research is being done beautifully across the globe. हमारे देश में भी बहुत हो रहा है, लेकिन उसका we have to promote it, or we have to rather extend our thinking to accommodate and say, oh, I have to like it, I have to know it. So this is the potential of using. Now, extremely, the cost relevance, I'm just telling you, when we talk of life cycle costs, ki baat ho rahi thi, I think you mentioned about life cycle cost. If we convert 25% of our average sourcing, sif 25% of the building materials, which can be either are sourced from renewable or can be recycled, sif 25%, our gross reliability on building economics will improve by 3 times. 3 times. Only 25% smart sourcing. So this is a very recent mathematics. I'm going to give you an example that I also see a couple of structural engineers here. Parekh ji is sitting there, and I just saw Utpal Satra is also here. And he will agree, in a project of his, there was an experiment being done through a fly ash material, just simple fly ash that we know, sourced from a very local Kolkata plant. Concrete has been added. In variation of about some percentages, changes, etc. It took about 3-4 months to do it. But after 3-4 months, that brick was very good enough, not taking the moisture content inside, was durable enough to take without a plaster, etc. It worked. And this became very experimental. अब इसके लिए 3 महीने तो गए, लेकिन उतनी कोशिश हमें करनी पड़ेगी. But the outcome was that if that can be again used in more, it makes sense. And that helped to save all the clay bricks. The other important thing is, I can use the forum to say this one thing. Some technology we haven't been able to rechange or reuse. For example, toughened glass, कोई भी तरह से toughened glass आज की डेट में recycle नहीं हो पाता है. So if we are smart enough to minimize toughened glass usage, and minimize glass usage as you said, it is very sensible because we don't have any technology where we can recycle it. So if we can actually be sensitive in choosing building materials, that's for builders as well as architects, as well as that let's choose something which can be recycled to some extent. It will help people, it will help planet. So that becomes very, very relevant to do it. So ऐसा अगर sourcing अपने करें, तो technology is there and sourcing becomes smart. And of course ratings are there to give motivation and all these things are there, percentage of some affair, etc. That's okay. But sensitivity is अगर हम अपने इंसान के लिए और प्लैनेट के लिए, इन दोनों के लिए सिर्फ सोचें, ये मटेरियल क्या हम इंसान के लिए बेटर होगा, कस्टमर के लिए या प्लैनेट के लिए, बस इतना ही सोच लें, तो बाकी डिसीजन एज फार एज कॉस्ट इज कंसर्न वो तो कन्विंस भी कर देंगे. Relevance of cost can become, but people and planet become so very important to understand. So that is our way of looking at the sourcing. Now, at least it's the last 3-4 years, we have been very sensitively trying to look out for that kind of a solution or that kind of a sourcing. Thank you.
Great. I like to share one of my experience where, of course, I was not directly involved. We did one house in Alipur, and my client, this is almost about 15 years back, and at that time, the modular furniture was not available in India. The modular furniture were imported. My client, with a lot of enthusiasm, imported a whole modular kitchen. One fine day, before Diwali, the servant tried to wash it. And the whole kitchen has to be thrown into the dustbin. So, after that experience, there was a launch of some modular furniture product in Kolkata. And in that, the MDF was used. So I asked the vendor that, can I wash this kitchen cabinet? He said, no, you're not supposed to wash it. I said that my servant doesn't know about it. So, in India, we wash the kitchen. So, in this context, I like to know from Rupande that how much importance would you like to give to maintenance and longevity while you select the material?
So taking a cue of Vivek, even the materials that we choose at our design studio are the choice is very sensitive to making sure that this material or the product has at least a shelf life of about 15 years. Okay? Because see, sustainability is something that we are all aware of, and we all know that unless we do something, this planet is not going to be habitable for our children or our grandchildren, and which is a situation that none of us want. Sustainability is not only about making sure that you are buying sustainable products, it's also the shelf life of a product. If you try and give your product or your designs at least a minimum shelf life, where I do a lot of interiors, our interior shelf lives are at least 15 to 17 years. We've had clients coming back to us and saying that, the place looks perfectly the way it was when you left it 12 years back, 15 years back, but we would like you to give it a facelift. So we just spruce up things. So even today, the products that we choose, we try and ensure that the longevity of that product is long enough to go through that life cycle. The product should live its life cycle of 15, 20 years. And that's very important. So choosing the right product for it to live that long is our responsibility, I think.
Yeah, that's great. When I look at the practice of we Indian architects, and while I compare it to the practice of architecture being practiced abroad, more particularly in Europe and America, etc., I find one distinct difference, and that is the way we do the structure. Over here we do in RCC, while over to there they do in steel and boards, or and bungalows they do even in a wooden planks or HD board planks which look like wood. There's a big gap, and I personally feel that somewhere we are heading towards their kind of a practice. Very recently I visited Nagpur and I saw one residential building done in steel structure. I came across in some conversation that this architect doesn't use the bricks, they use only board. That's an architect from Calcutta only. So, it's an anxiety to me that how you can do a structure or referential building in steel and using the boards, and whether it is relevant in India today. So my question to the Rohit is that whether he will like to design a buildings with the future such technology in today's context.
So you asked me a question which I'm dealing on an everyday basis right now, because we're doing projects in Toronto as we speak. So when we started 4 years back, that was the first challenge which we faced is all the buildings there were made, the basement, till the basement it was RCC, and after that it's all timber. So the first thing as an Indian designer is like, lakda sad jayega, pani lagega, kya hoga? Then just for a couple of months when I was staying there, I just had to unlearn the basic instinct which comes to our head that you lift it up, put a skirting, pani nahi lage, ye nahi lage. So we had to unlearn the teaching process which is gone, because the teaching was according to the climatical condition here. So taking that concept ahead is because of the material evolution. There are so many materials which has come which doesn't go to the core of the structure itself. One. Second is the timber which they use is the local timber, which means it has survived and tested the time there. Like for example, the Indian wood, if you take, it will survive time. It has survived time in the forest. We are just not using it because no one has done it before. If we airtight it, because when they do a soundproofing, there is no way anything is going to go inside. The work is done faster, the cost is lower, and on a superficial level, that it all looks the same after it's done. So I feel that we are heading towards that. It's just the fine gap between the stability and the industry supporting that evolution, because most of the industry is by the market leaders who push on material which is highly being used by all the studios.
Okay, great. We don't have much of a time. I'm told that it will wind up in 1.5 minutes from now. So, very quick questions to all the panelists. I'm skipping a question to Shakuntala, which I wanted to know about net zero and the future of net zero. So, I'm skipping that question. We don't have a time. So, very important thing I'd like to know very quickly from all the panelists in the last that what is the message to the material manufacturers from your side?
You start.
So to the material manufacturers, I would say that to keep that in mind, that how to use more recycled and local products, and also look at the life cycle. Maybe you can take back from people who are redoing and all of that and reuse that material like they used to do with Coke bottles and things like that, and put that at the forefront. Use wastage materials, agro materials, even people are making blocks, people are even using, I have not used this, but so much textile waste is going out into landfills. People are compressing that and making that into the panels. So a lot of experimentation has to happen, and with that the testing has to happen, and our codes need to move up to that, because most building doesn't really, the specifiers, the CPWD codes and all, they need to come up the curve and to embrace these so that it can have widespread usage in the industry.
I will just say that there has to be the credibility that it lasts time, and say 5 years or 15 years later, the product whichever you are trying to sell should withstand time and the changes which we need to adapt to.
So I think all of us, all panelists are on the same wavelength. One more thing I would like to add is keeping in mind our climatic conditions. Instead of trying to imitate a product that comes from the West, which is different, it's designed for different climatic zones, try and develop products that work for us, where we have heat and humidity, which is something that we have to deal with.
Thank you. Time's up. The one point, वो हमारे वहाँ पर वो रेडी वाले होते थे, वो पुराने बर्तन ले लेते थे और नए बर्तन देते थे. 4 बर्तन पुराने ले लेंगे और 2 बर्तन नए मिल जाते थे. So if we can think, and all this gentlemen on the rear perimeter of the hall, अगर थोड़ा सा ऐसा सोचें, if you can take back, buy back the used shelved life of the material and give us something new, this will be the new Indian way of looking at sustainability. So थोड़ा हमारा use हो गया, ले लो, take this 100 pieces and give me 25 pieces new, chalega. And then we will be able to generate a sustainable net zero one day. Thank you very much. Namaskar.
Thanks a lot. Pooja, is there a question answer session?
I don't think we have time for that, but if there is a quick question, we can take in. JP sir.
There was I think when we talk about building materials, there is a very important point which I feel we did not discuss about. We mentioned about the shelf life of the material, the longevity, and it's like being able to use it across the generations. But I think where our planet is right now with respect to climate change, it is more important to understand what is the end of life potential of that material. Being able to reuse is stated, but how much of it actually happens, we all know. We can give directions, we can give advices, but we are not very sure about what will be actually done. So most important factor today should be about the end of life potential of that material. वो कितना जल्दी वापस मिट्टी बन सकता है. I think that is what we should drive the entire new material industry towards. Thank you.
Excellent paradigm. One more question is okay. Anybody? All right, then it was an enriching discussion. You have one question.
Thanks a lot.
It's on right now, yeah. I think, Vivek, you put a very pertinent point that you talked about clay fly ash usage, typically using the clay fly ash technology, how it was being reinforced to increase the strength of brick, I would fully agree with you that not much of research is being done now thereafter, besides what has been done by CBRI and so many other institutions. Much more needs to be done. But then definitely if you look at the life cycle, if it's also one thing is also goes that what is the usage pattern? I mean, how many people really know how to use a material right? Manufacturers can give you best of warranties. I'll share with you when you talk of faucets, nobody in India tends to swipe after usage of any showering area. If it's being just swiped once, believe me, it will give you a longevity. As group head of Jacor, I can share with you, my dear friend, can you just take the video later on? Take it off. If you are using at Oberoi Uday Villas, we have been using a Queen series for more than 22 years. Not even a single faucet has been replaced. So it's about also, but that also goes to what extent Oberoi goes about maintaining all the bathrooms. So I think service standards is a, so all the manufacturers, what they normally recommend, to what extent it is being followed, or it is being instructed by or to the building management, the facility management team about the upkeep. So I think it's a combination. While designers are always circumspect, they will always go about recommending it.
Excellent.
JP.
Your policy and your approach is very much appreciated, and we expect this from all material manufacturers. Thanks a lot.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the enriching panel discussion. Just one moment, please. I would like to call upon Dulal Mukherjee and architect Sushant Patil to felicitate our esteemed panelists. Okay, so architect Sushant Patil. Thank you. A big round of applause for our esteemed panelists, please. This is Rohit. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.